Hi everyone, I am back with another episode of PMP Exam Prep Power Hour, and today I am talking about project communication management. I know this time I published this session pretty late, so some of you may have not got notified in advance. But whoever is here, maybe you have some questions related to PMP exam, project management, we can talk. And I will talk about one particular topic of project management today. And today I'm focusing on project communication management. Some of you who are new to this particular session, our usual format is I pick up something, I talk about a topic for a while, around 20-25 minutes. Then you may want to discuss some of the questions related to that topic or something else, maybe project management, something which you feel that I can probably contribute, that kind of topic we discuss. And if you want to put a comment, you can directly put in the LinkedIn if you are watching me on LinkedIn. So in the comment, as you put it, it will reach to me. And similarly, if you're watching me on YouTube, you can also put a chat and that will reach to me. So I'm your host, Saket Bansal. I'm into project management education. I have been teaching project management and agile related topic for more than 12 years now. And yes, so I try to balance that project management and agile with a complete integrity. It's not like something is bad and something is good. It's all about finding the right solution for right problem. So that's what I do. So let's get started. Yes, I can give an opportunity to start with a question also. In case someone has a burning question, we can change a pattern and start with a query. Else, I will directly get into the conversation related to project communication management. Some of you who are already following me on LinkedIn, you may know that nowadays I keep posting some project documents because many a time I get a query in my PMP class or people who are interacting with me on social media that we have done PMP, we have prepared it, but we don't know how to execute project or this aspect of the project. So how can you assist us? So first I created lots of templates and they are available to our PMP clients. I said, you can look into these templates. But the templates also remains little at superficial level. People want to know the filled templates. We can say, okay, let's get started there. So I have started filling the templates and started sharing some of the documents, which usually I am doing on LinkedIn as of now. Soon I will put them at a common place where you can see the past share as well and download it. But as of now, if you want to see those documents, you can follow me on LinkedIn. Yeah. So getting started. So since there is no question to start with, I start with my topic about project communication. So let's get started. So I have 7 pointers, I guess, related to project communication. And I will go one by one and they will be covering various aspects of your project management. Now, before I even talk about the project communication, first, little bit about your exam. Why should it matters? So we can say that this particular project communication management is a part of your exam content outline. There is a task. I don't know why I can't see my exam content now. Okay, I can see it. So I show you here. So we go to a task 2 of project communication management related topic. So PMP exam content outline process domain task 2 tells that you as a project manager should demonstrate good skills in managing communication. You should be able to analyze stakeholder needs, determines how to communicate, what channel to use, what frequency to use, how much detail we should give to our stakeholder, and manage the project information in the effective manner, communicate them in the effective manner so that people really understand where we are as a project and they can provide appropriate feedback for the benefits of the project execution. So that's what is expected from the project manager. And today's session is basically focusing on this aspect of the PMP exam. Yeah? So manage communication, task 2 of the exam content outline. Now going forward and talking about the topics now. Okay, so starting with importance of communication. So as a project manager, when I started doing project management in year 2000 around, and I did my PMP in 2006, we used to have a very common statement, keep hearing from various experienced project managers, that the maximum time of a project manager goes into doing communication, facilitating communication. So this is something is your real job. Yeah. You may talk about preparing documents, you may talk about doing many things, but ultimately everything requires communication. So the communication is one of the most essential part of your project management job. So say you might have created a requirement, but it has to be communicated. You might have agreed on priority, but it has to be communicated. Without communication, things are not going to the desired destination. So usually I give a metaphor that you might have written a letter, but you need to post the letter, and the communication management will make this letter reach to a desired destination. But if the letter is not reaching to a desired destination and there is no communication happening, what is the value of writing that particular letter? So in the overall project, this communication management is the essential part of it. It is just not for the PMP exam. I already showed you the PMP exam has a task related to it. It is something is good for any leadership role. You may call yourself Scrum Master, Project Manager. Whenever you are dealing with people, you require to be doing communication. Now, this is something becoming more and more complex now because we are working in the environment where people are working from different geographies. People are working in a different time slots. Yeah? Somebody maybe same geography but working from home. So we are getting very less and less opportunity to make people sit face to face, brainstorm and discuss. And at the same time, as a project manager, we need to ensure everybody has a common understanding about how are we progressing, what we should do next. So as a project manager, I need to focus on managing and improving communication more in the day-to-day life. So it's an important thing. Now, in PMP exam, I need to start with understanding stakeholders' communication need. So say for a PMP, you need to focus on power interest grid. And different stakeholder may have a different level of interest. And people who are more interested about your project, they want to know the details in more details they are interested in your project, and they also want to get communicated frequently. So and maybe there are some stakeholders who may just want to be getting updated once in a month or once in a while, and they may not want to see too many details coming out of your project. So we need to talk and understand what are the stakeholders communication need. This particular action of a project manager is usually mixed with stakeholder engagement assessment or stakeholder involvement assessment. So you may use matrices like stakeholder engagement assessment matrix, you may use power interest grid, but when you are talking about the engagement, indirectly the engagement also get converted into communication need. So as a project manager, when I'm doing stakeholder interaction, I'm preparing a stakeholder register maybe as a document, I need to put their communication expectations as well. Now the summary of these communication expectations, I will put in my project communication management plan as well. But that's the starting point, because if I don't know how much interest or how much information my stakeholder wants to know, then my whole communication approach may fail. Now, after understanding the importance and talking to people about their need related to communication, here comes the third step, communication planning. Now, we have many subsidiary plans. I spoke about risk management plan last time. I spoke about communication management plan. I have prepared a communication management plan, filled template this particular week you might want to see. Now, before I show that particular template to you, why should we do communication planning? And is it like I must prepare a communication management plan? If I don't want to create that document, what's wrong with it? Yeah. So first thing is, as a project manager, the goal of me is not to create a document. The goal is that we should have an understanding of communication. Now, if people are clear who is expected to attend which meeting, if there is a clarity, what kind of report will come at what frequency, if there is a clarity, if something is getting escalated, we should give a phone call rather than sending an email. Then we have a clear understanding of communication. But if that is not clear, then I need to have a clear understanding so people understand how, when, at how much detail we communicate, what do we do when the escalations are happening, who is the person who is giving you the details, what template we use. We need to have the common understanding. And for complex projects, projects are expected to be temporary. So which means we have not been working from last 10 years together. If we work from last 10 years together, maybe we have established these norms and we don't have to write a document about it. There's a possibility. But the projects are by default considered to be a temporary endeavor. So, and when we are working with a complex environment, having multiple people working from different time zone in a different locations, then we will say, okay, we need to have an understanding. And that understanding is called communication management planning. And you may produce a communication management plan. Now, somebody will come up and say that, okay, I'm following Agile and we follow Scrum-based processes and we are using project. In Scrum, we don't create communication management plan. So there is no problem in creating or not creating. But in Scrum also, you should be clear who are the people who will attend iteration review. People should be clear that iteration review is happening every 2 weeks. They should be informed about that. They should be knowing that if they have a feedback, they can either discuss in iteration review or they can do in a backlog refinement session. If stakeholders are clear and there is no confusion about it, we have a sharing of the common information. They also know in between of the sprint, if they want to know about the progress, they can go and see the burn down chart. If that is clear, you are already having communication management understanding. Then you don't need to have a documentation. But if this is becoming confusing, then by some way, you need to clarify that, okay, this is how we are going to communicate and this is how we are going to progress in our project. So you prepare a communication management plan to bring that particular clarity so that you know which letter has to be sent to whom and how frequently, because our project keeps generating letter informations. So we need to do a quick dispatch, and communication management plan is like that. It captures the letter, look into the directory and say, oh, this letter is expected to go to these people, publish it. Yeah, as a metaphorically, it could be a phone call also. So this is what your communication management plan is doing. Now somebody will say, oh, this all is good, but is it something which we can see? So I'm just showing briefly that yes, I prepared a one communication management plan, and that is something you can probably check it out. If you want to get it, you can just drop a comment. I will share a URL, but it's available in my LinkedIn. So I gave a little detail, as much I think is good enough to start with. So introduction of communication, we spoke about capturing the stakeholder requirements, what they are looking for related to communication. And then we focus on communication matrix, which talks about which information goes to who all stakeholders, what is the format. So it's like the letter posting thing. So, and what kind of a details it should have, what is the frequency, and who sends this particular letter. So that's a communication matrix. Usually communication matrix will be a part of communication management plan. It can have a few more columns, few less columns, but that's the one thing you will usually see. And then you may have a specific section talking about various meetings. Yeah, what all meetings are happening, why they are happening, who should attend it, what is the frequency, what is the duration, what is the agenda, and what is the venue. All those meetings which are expected to happen at a pattern level. There could be some special meeting which you need to call separately, but in general, you have a pattern-based meeting which may also get defined. Another important element which comes in a communication planning is an escalation process. So you define what is the severity of various escalation point, when should you qualify something is a severe, and what do you do when the severity is coming, how do you handle first level responses, and when do you escalate to a second level, third level, fourth level, and who are the people at a second level, third level, and fourth level. So that's something, some format of escalation has to be communicated. And how do you how do you communicate when the escalations are happening? You send email, you send phone, or you do a phone, or you meet person face to face. All those things can be agreed upon. So this kind of stuff you can define the overall escalation thing. May you talk about what is a confidential related parameter, which information can be shared, which information cannot be shared, some standard definition of various glossary which will get used in the overall communication. You may add a flowchart of compiling information. I could not add that, but that is another possibility. And you may talk about some limitations, some revision history, etc., in your communication management plan. So my objective of showing this was to make you aware that yes, we need to have a communication planning, and that help us in knowing how do we manage a consistent information going to our project stakeholders. So communication planning. Usually a formal documented content you will see in most of the complex project. In a small projects, it could be just based on the understanding. Informal communication management plan is perfectly okay from a PMP exam perspective. But when you have a communication management plan available in the options, you know how to use it. Yeah? So that's the idea. Now, moving forward, communication methods. Now, this is, I think, is the most important element from the exam perspective. And it is also something which is influencing our planning. Should we do push communication? Should we do pull communication? Should we do interactive communication? In a PMP exam, you will find various situations which you need to deal with. And based on the situation, you need to identify, should I do push, pull, or interactive? Now, what is the push, pull, and interactive? Let's start with that. So push communication is that receiver probably is not expecting the communication come, but I am giving it. I'm saying, please listen to me. Please see this particular information. So I'm pushing the communication. So usually you push the email. You can say, this is my project status report. You are opening it, not opening it, but I'm sending it to you. Probably you want to open it. Yeah. So I push my communication and I send to some set of stakeholder. Usually the push communication not ensures the reader has read it. We can say my job is done when I have sent that particular letter. That's a push communication. So you usually apply to something which are more compliance oriented, which you need to send, and you probably don't have a very critical feedback needed from that particular stakeholder. You may do a push communication. Yeah. So it is, say, a low quality communication. I don't want to send a critical information in a push format, because the person may misreading it or interpreting it, and we may have a consequences. So whenever the stakes are high, you probably don't choose push communication in the PMP exam. Whenever you see the low power, low interest, or usually sometimes low interest is important. Sometimes you have a high power, low interest stakeholder also. You may want to give them some push update. We can say, okay, let's keep sending them weekly update in case they want to see it. They will read it. Anyway, it is not much impacting us. So in those cases, you can do a push communication. Then you have a pull communication. So pull communication is something is very important for those individuals who are very interested, but there are many and they are not that much powerful. They will put effort to find out more details. So as a project manager, I don't have to give them updates. I can say, let me put all the information at one place and you probably can pull it. Yeah, that's a pull communication. So say I publish my burn down chart, I publish my project status report on my project dashboard, and my stakeholder, whenever they want to know about a project, they can go there. Or we have a project schedule or our Kanban board always updated. Anyone wants to know what is happening in the project, what should I do next, they can go to a Kanban board and come take information out of it. So I go to a website and I search for information and I learn it. Yeah, that is the I am pulling the communication. And as a project manager, I am making that website available. I am putting the desired information so people can pull the information. That's a pull communication. Usually very suitable for high interest, low power stakeholder, power interest grid. Usually my team members. So say team members wants to know what should we do next, how many defects are open, what is our upcoming milestone. I probably don't want to send an email about it. I probably may not want to update each and everything via phone calls to these people or in the meetings. I can probably say, guys, you can see your next upcoming milestones or things on this particular place. Why don't you go and find it out? Yeah? So that's a pull communication. It also supports a communication to a big group, yeah? Because a lot of people are can be pulling the information. Then we come to the most rich format of communication. We call it interactive communication. Interactive communication is we are talking. Yeah? You can respond back. I'm explaining to you. You can ask question. You talking someone face to face, interactive. You are talking someone scheduled phone call. You are working and exploring things, brainstorming, interactive. You are doing some Zoom call, video call with someone, interactive. The interactive communication is you have a point and the response is coming, clarification is happening, we are doing in this mode. Now, there could be a fine grain of interactivity also, interactive synchronous, which means the interaction is happening then and there, and interactive asynchronous, like you are talking to someone on WhatsApp chat. So you put a message, the person comes back, but it is not happening necessarily then and there, but it is happening in the interaction. So usually the richness, if the stakes are high and if our stakeholders are powerful and interested, I should always try to do interactive communication with them. So say I need to discuss a critical issue in my project and my options are saying send an email to a boss or go to a boss and explain the issue. I will say I will go to a box and explain the issue because I focus on interactive communication. So these are small pointers. If you keep in mind, your questions will start becoming better. So interactive communication is a better. But at the same time, if I think of doing interactive communication with everyone, then I will have no time for anything else in my project. So I definitely want to focus on push and pull for the stakeholders who are not that critical for me. They may want to know, they may want to have a phone call with me and understand the project status, but I says, please, I don't have that much time for you. Probably you need to look into the email which I sent to you. So it is not about the wish of the other guy. I also need to manage our time carefully. So that's how I plan this thing, and that goes into communication management plan. Now I bring the agility here, agile part here. So please keep in mind, in the agile, our basic focus is pull and interactive. So by default, we are saying to keep the things visible so that people keep knowing what is happening here. And once in a day, we do a daily stand-up so everyone can discuss where we are and what we can do. At the end of an iteration, we do iteration review so everyone can talk about it. So there's a good amount of focus on interactivity. In generally, the push communication is rarely used by default in the agile way of working. But depending upon our project situation, our compliance need, we may need to put a push communication also. In general, depending upon my project need, I will define which particular stakeholder need to be communicated in which method. And that is something which we need to show as a skill in our PMP exam. So that's your types of communication. Now, I know the time is running, so overall effective communication. So the essence of effectiveness is whatever I am telling, I am really validating that it has been understood. The interactivity is essential when the stakes are high. That's an important thing we need to keep in mind. Another important thing from a project management perspective, nowadays in a new content outline, the listening is also important. So we can say communication is not about telling, it is also about listening. It's also about taking feedback. So whenever you have a situation where someone is explaining something, you first need to demonstrate listening attitude. Then you need to talk about how can I communicate more effectively and resolve their problems. So whenever stakes are high, look for interactive communication. I can say that is the more effectiveness, and focus on listening as well. Now, similarly, escalation processes. So I showed you an example in our communication management plan, how possibly you can define various escalations. Many times people don't relate escalation with communication. They think escalation may be written somewhere in a governance plan, may be written in a project cost management plan, project schedule management plan, project risk management plan. The answer is yes, they are written in those respective plans. So say when a risk should get escalated, that will be defined in a risk management plan. When should we escalate a schedule variance, that will be defined in a schedule management plan. So when should we escalate a cost related issue, cost management plan. But when there is an escalation, how escalation communicates, who all will get notified, how long you wait to a level 1, and if no action is happening at a level 1, how do you escalate to level 2, how do you go to level 3, that is documented or agreed in a communication management plan. So this becomes a little tricky sometimes for people who are taking the PMP exam. So escalation and escalation flow is defined in a communication management plan. The trigger for escalation can come from respective plans. So trigger for escalation for risk may be coming from a risk management plan. Trigger for escalating of schedule variance may trigger from schedule management plan. But all of us as a project manager understand everything should be well integrated. So yes, project integration management ensure that all these things are consistent, but the communication management plan plays a critical role in defining the escalation understanding in our stakeholders. Now, finally, the project information effectively. So in our PMBOK 6 word, we have carefully learned about work data, work performance information, and work performance report. Work performance, these three things were coming. Nowadays, these terms are not that much important for a new PMP exam, but we need to understand whenever we are communicating about project status, I need to be focusing on holistically. I need to be talking about various elements of project. Rather than only talking about one area of the project, the holistic report should give the whole project status. So that's a project performance report. That's what I should be keeping in mind. Now, what all goes into that performance report? You can say there could be some indicator about how we are doing in a scheduling space, some indicator about risk, some indicator about cost, some indicator about quality things, compliance things, all those things will come. Exactly depends upon my organization process asset, but it's overall that kind of performance report I will prepare. Another thing is I may publish a dashboard rather than sending a report to support a full communication. So we may have a dashboard where all these parameters are more frequently updated and some set of stakeholders can keep seeing it. We may have access rights also. It's not like everybody has an access to all those dashboards. Depending upon who is important and what is needed and their expectation and need related to project, we may need to create different dashboards also. Like I usually tell, I create a management dashboard, detailed dashboard, team dashboard. So team dashboard will have all the things which are happening in the team. So team remains aware. Yeah, because different people are working from different geography. If some issue is faced by other team member, I should have a dashboard which can expose that. But when I'm focusing on management dashboard, I may not want to get into a team ongoing chat and new issues getting added and those kind of things, I may want to give them a high level information. They can drill down if they need it. So I need to ensure creating a proper dashboard. In our agile world, you also see something called information radiator. So information radiator is that you put the information at a visible place. That's the simple thing. So that it promotes pull communication. It makes the pull communication easy. So people don't have to search for it. They can really get it without much of the trouble. So you can think of that in your organization, you put a notice board and you put it at a place where it's a frequently visited place, prominent place. And whenever someone pass by it, they can see it, what information is given, and then they get communicated like that. So we find out a footfall space, high footfall space, a digital footfall or physical footfall, that depends upon our environment. And we make sure at a high footfall space, we are putting some key information about our project, and that thing is called information radiator. So all these things you need to ensure are updated and kept your stakeholders in loop so that they support your project execution. So that was a crash coverage of communication management in our thing. If you need any further questions, yeah, we can talk, and we can possibly discuss. Yeah, there are some questions. There are some questions we have here in the chat box, so I can start. So there is a question, little exploratory question though. So how do you see a role of AI, generative AI? How it impacts into project management? So I think it depends upon which area of project management you are doing. But the knowledge management, knowledge sharing is something is already using these generative AI tools very effectively. So a good amount of project management job is also change management, communication, training, keeping people informed. So using these tools can help us. Also, I can publish my project information database where people can talk to the tool and get more information about the project. So knowledge management seems to be the easiest thing to start with. And then depending upon the context, you have a specific area and you may have a support which is coming from AI space. Yeah. Now we have an interesting question. Yeah. That can managing difficult stakeholder also be documented in a communication management plan? Example, stakeholder delaying sign off. So answer is no and yes, or yes and no, both. Yeah. How? So you don't document a particular instance. Say this guy is not signing it from X number of days. That's an issue. You document in an issue log. It's an issue because it is not getting met. But what do you do when these kind of issues are happening? What should I do when I have a submission and after X number of days, the person is not signing? What should be the escalation level? Does it qualify for escalation level? If yes, who should get escalated? And if at that level also things are not getting resolved, then who should be next escalated? So those escalation level definition and escalations are expected to define in your communication management plan at a project level. Now, sometimes if it's a client and your relationship, there is a possibility this brief of communication escalation is also there in your project contract as well. So I need to see the project contract is also a kind of contain a small communication management plan which will get extended in our project. So if in my project I'm facing this problem, I need to see what is the escalation path defined in the communication management plan. If it is not there, I probably need to discuss with my stakeholder and say, guys, I think we need to have an agreement on escalations because that will help us. That will help us in achieving project objective. I'm not doing anything for myself. I'm doing it for the project. Yeah. So we take an agreement, we define it, and then we follow it. And accordingly, we take the thing. If it is not getting resolved, we raise an issue and we show that issue is expected to be escalated as per the escalation plan. Yeah. So that's how we can relate it. So we are saying, what is a workaround when they're dealing with difficult stakeholder who is not good at following communication management plan? So we can change the communication management plan. There is no problem. Yeah. So say you have said, I will not give this information to you on phone. I will send you a weekly status report. And maybe the person keeps calling me and keep asking me details. Yeah. Now, how do we handle it? So there is a clear feedback that whatever I am doing, this person is not satisfied. Yeah. His communication needs are not taken care. That's clear. Now I need to find out how do I take care of it? So probably if I say that this person is not that much important, he's unnecessarily troubling me, then I clarify him that calling me will not give you this information. I will only give the information once in a week to you. Please don't bother me. If something he's a troublemaker for me, he's not a powerful guy. He's just I can say that thing to him. There's a possibility. There is a possibility he's a very important stakeholder. And then I say, anytime you call it, I will give you information. And should I give you more frequent updates rather than waiting for a whole week? Do you want to have every alternate day information? If yes, then you don't have to call me. I will probably be available to you to explain these things in a more effective manner. So I need to revisit. The overall goal is satisfying stakeholders' communication need. Our goal is not to prepare a plan. Yeah? Our goal is prepare a plan to satisfy stakeholder need. And if the stakeholder needs are not getting satisfied, the whole purpose of plan is useless. But we can definitely update and we can have a better understanding and then we can move forward. Yeah? So that's how we are doing. Okay. So this question, I think. So I take a communication thing and then I talk about job related stuff probably. I think we discussed last time, but we can talk. So will a change request be required to change a specific stakeholder communication cadence? That's a difficult question. Yeah. So what practically you should do? Yeah. You should define in communication management plan, how are you going to change communication management plan? So any plan, whatever you make, you need to have a definition or a process of changing that document briefly mentioned in the document itself. That's the first thing. Now, usually it depends upon the quantum of change. So say if the change is not involving good amount of money, and that you define in your change control process, that what kind of change will go for change request and what kind of change will not go for change request. By default, I would say that if the question is not indicating that this is a significant change, if I'm dealing in a PMP exam, I will not look for change request for communication management plan, most likely. Yeah. Say someone has given me a feedback for changing the format of a project report. I probably need to discuss with some other stakeholders also to understand that is the format is good to accept. And then if I accept it, I will probably go forward to it. That's a possible. Now, there is also a possibility that there is a complex project and the stakeholder is asking one information. I probably need to take an approval from a compliance group. Then I will say one type of change request because stakeholders are asking for more information. Are we really okay to send this information to them? So I need to take some approval about it. So depending upon the context, we can define when do we have a integrated view before we change it, or when we can have a smaller view and we probably don't require a change request. So that we define in the change control a plan, and we also refer in our communication management plan when we need a change request. But usually for PMP exam, you don't insist for change request until unless you clearly see that it may require a bigger impact on your cost and other parameters. And that's how you can see it. Okay, so we have a question. So how should I manage my communication when I'm starting a new job, yeah, or with the teammates, with the stakeholders and all? So going back, so what is communication? So communication is about listening and speaking as per the level of interest of other guy. That's what I do. So when I go for new environment, I listen, I observe, and then I speak as per the expectation of other person's detail. Someone who wants to know more detail, I provide it. Someone who wants to get less detail, I remain brief with it. So initially, the communication is the main tool to build a trust, to build a kind of relationship. That's a generally a relationship building process. Now, once the relationship building process is done, then you probably want to have a project related communication, which will definitely be influenced by what is your organization standards. So you study your organization templates for communication management plan. You probably study how this was done in our past projects, what kind of tools are usually used, what kind of meetings are usually done, what are the stakeholder expectations related to communication. So I study that. Yeah? And based on that whole study, in 99% of the time, the default communication management plan comes from my PMO. They'll say, oh, this is how we usually do in our projects. Probably you want to follow it. So I take it. But after that, I look at my specific project context. We can say, oh, this is good, but is there any plus minus I need to do in order to match with my project complexity? So I check it out and I probably talk to some of the key stakeholders. I may take a interview with them, and based on that, I update the communication management plan. So that's what I do. And please don't worry about starting somewhere and updating it later. Yeah. It is something which has to be refined because it's all about keeping everyone on a same page. That's the whole idea of communication. People should not be confused about project status. They should not be confused about our priorities. They should not be confused about our overall dependency management things. Yeah. So letters should be reaching to the right people. That's about is a communication management rather than we keep creating letters and nobody is receiving or reading it. And that's the idea. So till now, whatever question came, I think we have taken care of them. If I'm missing something, please point it out. But overall, till now, I think I have taken. So if you are watching us on LinkedIn, you can put a comment, it will reach us. If you are watching us on YouTube, you can put a chat and it will reach us. Both way, we will explore. I will explore my best to add some points to your query. Okay, so looks like we are settling down. I pause for a few seconds, around 30 to 60 seconds, and see if we don't have a query, we probably close for today. I am trying to open LinkedIn. Sometimes LinkedIn gives a problem. So let's see. I think it is working. Probably. Okay. So in your view, can a poor communication impact a project success? Significantly. Significantly. Yeah. So say if you keep writing letter and you are not dispatching to the right person and right person is not getting your feeling, your relationship is gone. Yeah. So if you keep typing messages but it is not getting sent to right people or sent to the wrong person, then you are in a mess. Yeah. So that's whole thing is very very important. Yeah. So communication, I have a requirement, I need to communicate the requirement in the effective manner. I have prepared something, I need to demonstrate my preparation, my work to appropriate people. If they want to give a feedback, they need to give a feedback in such a manner that I receive it. Or if I'm not understanding the feedback, I need to make sure I revalidate it. If I have a schedule which is going to get challenged, we are delayed by 15 days, I need to inform people so that they can plan accordingly. If I'm not informing them and they are hoping delivery from me today, and I said, oh, we have missed talking about it, but I think we are delayed by 15 days. They will say, what is this? You have already wasted our time. First, you are delayed, and second, you never told us. We were just preparing for receiving the deliverable, and we are in a mess. So, letter is you are delayed. You have not sent it. So the communication has not went. You are delayed. That's a fact. But because the letter has not went to the right people, the people could not do something about the project. So usually the biggest job of a project manager to ensure the communications are done in the effective manner in our project. It's one of the most important act of leadership and integrating work. Without it, everything will fail for sure. Until unless you are an individual contributor, you are doing yourself, and the project is all about you, then you don't have to talk to anyone. All information is with you. You probably will do it. Then it's okay. Yeah. But if when the more people are involved, the more and more people get involved, the more and more communication becomes critical. Yeah. So a question, can a BA transition into a project manager position? So say most of the business analysts who worked with me when I was a project manager, they had an aspiration to become a project manager, and many of them has become. We do see a good percentage of customer-centric project managers? So the answer is yes. In our current classes also, so as I said, the project managers are learning business analysis. Whenever I give an example of T-shaped professional in my PMP class for a project manager, usually the second skill I bring along with project management is a business analyst. And I say a project manager may have a deep skill in project management and average skill in a business analysis. And then I say a business analyst may have a deep skill in a business analysis and average skill in a project management. So both of them can work as a backup to each other. That's a usual example I bring. And I believe that example usually fits well because this is how most of the professionals are working and most of the organizations are also developing their individuals. So I see a good synergy between these two roles. Yeah. So in Agile, retrospective and sprint review meetings has a several learning about project progress. So these learnings are documented and communicated to the team or they no need. Depends. Up to you. Yeah. The whole thing is learning should be understood and acted upon. Now, even if I document and nobody reads it, useless. Even if I don't document but people get it, useful. Yeah. If I read it, if I write it and people read it, very useful. So this is something I need to decide as my communication protocol and knowledge repository or knowledge sharing protocol. Usually, from exam perspective, something which is useful for other project team as well, and something which we have concluded usually should be documented as a lesson learned. Traditional project management, we usually use this word, so that these lesson learned can be shared by other project teams as well, your PMO groups as well, and they can replicate the learning, they can make best use of the learning at an org level, because they want to make sure not just the team is learning, the organization is learning. That's the important thing. Now, from a team perspective, what we learned is okay, great, we got it, we analyzed, we got it, but we want to do about it. What should we do next? That has to be tracked. So what should be coming out as a probably a documented fact out of review or retrospective meeting? What we want to do next. And those things may go into product backlog. They will get prioritized. Maybe we want to change our definition of done, we do it. Maybe we want to add a training to our product backlog, we do it. Maybe we want to change a feature. We may want to have a continuous integration installation. All these things will come as an actions and they come into a product backlog. So by default, Scrum does not mention you to prepare a lesson learned log or a retrospective log separately. It depends if that helps. They expect that you really analyze and then you come up with the action item, and those action items can be sent. Yeah, that's usually done. But depending upon project context, for a sprint review, I usually see people preparing minutes of the meeting, especially in a complex environment, and that help us in also ensuring how we are going in the work. Okay, another question. Being a Scrum Master, shall the person opt for a product manager or rather go for a PMP or a SAFe certification and experience and continue towards the project management role? Yeah. So, say, exact answer individuals can find out on their own because it is difficult to give a specific answer. But I am sharing some pointers, some generic recommendation which should help you. Yeah, that's the idea, but real answer you can find out. So first, it depends upon my competency also. If I am capable in doing business analysis, then I probably want to focus on business analysis and product management. If I'm more focused on doing facilitation, integration, dependency management, then I may want to go into management work, collaborative work, people leadership work. That's a project management side. Another thing also depends upon what is opportunity available to me. So if I'm working in a service companies where we do project for person one, per team, company one, then we do for project for company two, then we go for company three. Whatever we do, project management skills are needed because it is something not for the same company all the time. But so in a service companies, usually as a Scrum Master, moving towards project management might be a good idea. Yeah. But if I'm working in a company where I'm following SAFe, I'm following Scrum, we have a same product. We don't create projects. We just keep working on the product for next 10 years, 5 years. We are working in a product way of working. Then adding project management could be confusing for me because my company doesn't follow project management. Then I will say, okay, I will probably focus on product management. So my default advice, the Scrum Masters who are working in a product company, they probably want to add the second level skills into product ownership and product management direction. and they may want to play a role where they can contribute in that particular area. That seems to be a possible direction. Again, you need to see your interest and competency as well. And the scrum masters who are working in a service companies where they keep working from one area to another area. And service company scrum is customized scrum. It can't be a pure scrum, because whenever you bring a word project, it is not a scrum anymore. It's not a pure scrum anymore. It is something which you created. It is not as per scrum guide. So whenever you are working in a project environment, it is something hybrid, yeah, by default. And for those hybrid, you probably need to have a hybrid approaches, hybrid tools, and you probably need to learn more hybrid tools, which can be learned with the help of project management knowledge. So PMP certification is a one step to acquire project management knowledge. I keep saying PMP certification gives you a surface area project management knowledge, not a depth. So it covers a lot of topic, but not at a deep level. Yeah? You need to develop depth with your experience, with your more effort, but you do get to know about good coverage of project management topic with the help of PMP certification. Okay, so that's till now. Again, you need to add some flavor to it. Yeah, my answers are generic, but you need to mix it. Yeah. Okay, great, Rohit. Nice to connect. Yeah. So final 10 minutes, probably we wanna explore, and then let's see if we have something more. Great. So some of you who are new to our channel, we do have PMP style questions in a video format. If you have not seen them, probably you want to try it out. They are about to touch the 180 marks in the upcoming week, and or maybe 2 weeks. And we do have, say, a lot of other videos focusing on Scrum Master interviews and Project Manager interviews. So probably you want to search and use that particular content from our channel. And I do try to post many practical topics rather than just PMP topics alone, using my LinkedIn page. And that is something you can also explore. About the next topic, I have not yet decided. Yeah, I will think based on if I get some indicator, I will pick it up. But as of now, I don't have a defined topic for a project management for next week. But if someone has a suggestion, please feel free to add. Yeah, that is something we'll definitely consider. You can put a comment later as well. It is not yet decided. Yeah, so you can definitely add it here. Yeah. Great. So thank you everyone for participating in our Power Hour. It was something interesting. So can you do for requirements? We'll see. I think we did something scoping, but I will explore if we can create 6-7 pointers for requirement. Because for any topic, I want to create 6-7 pointers. As of now, that's the pattern I'm using. Let's see if I can find some pointers for requirement. We'll do it. Else we'll see how we add to things. Great. So thank you everyone for your active participation. See you next week. Thank you for attending our PMP Exam Prep Hour episode 35.